American Gunfighter Podcast. Hosted by your instructors from Ghost Ring Tactical. With their combined experience in the military, law enforcement, firearms instructing industry, and security, they'll be discussing tactics, training, firearms, and equipment to help you become an even better American gunfighter.
All right, guys, we're back. We took a short break. This is a long one, but I think there's so much great information that's being shared. We want to keep going with this. Let's get into our next question, Micah.
Okay, so a little bit of prep time for this one, and again some selfish stuff, and some of this is very subjective. So I kind of alluded earlier to my combat experience, where my family is thousands of miles away, and I'm putting this behind me, and I'm not focused on that. It's out of sight, out of mind, and then I push and I go do my job. Something we talked about on the break here real quick is, and I struggle to use this word commute, but your commute to the front lines, to the war zone, is shorter than my commute from my house to here. Mm-hmm. Right? It takes me 2 hours roughly to get here. It takes you roughly 90 minutes.
Yeah,
is that what I understand?
Where I was serving last week. Yeah, so I'm in active reserves at the moment. I've been for quite a while now. So, okay. Some of the areas, not just now, over the years, some of the areas, you'd be taking heavy gunfire on a daily basis. You get an APC. You drive for maybe 20 minutes to the base, to the forward operating base. It's even funny to think about it, because for you guys, a forward operating position, it's like in the mountains of Kandahar.
Yes.
Right. For me, as you said, it's about an hour and a half from home.
So just think about that, you guys at home. It's like, imagine.
Yeah, give yourself an hour and a half ring from your house, and what does that look like?
So, and that's the war zone. That's where the front lines are.
There's no question of what we're doing there, right? You can say, you can ask Australians, what are you doing in Afghanistan? Okay, and for me, there's no question. Like, my family is directly behind me when I'm fighting. But I was talking about and we'll get back to it in a second. This is something I really want to share. The mindset of October 7th, when we're getting called up on Saturday, and my unit is getting called up, we are certain that we're about to get attacked from inside Lebanon, that the Palestinians are going to come in from the West Bank as well, that some Israeli Arabs are going to attack communities, and now you have a decision to make. Do you go with your unit?
You stay home?
Or do you stay home to protect your family? And that's a really hard choice to make, and that's something that in some essence broke me. In some essence, you asked me where I was. Mm-hmm. The short answer to that was, my unit got called up on Saturday. 2 years ago, I transitioned into an instructor role, not a combat role. So my unit got called up, and I called up my commander, and I say, hey, what's happening? Not what's happening, but what's happening now with the unit.
And this, what you're talking about, this is like a day after October.
No, this is the night.
The night of October.
This is the night. My unit gets called up, and I call my commander, and I say, do you need me? Because I'm a Krav Maga instructor right now. Nobody's learning Krav Maga. Yeah. Right? So he goes, look, I don't know. It's all chaos. I don't know exactly what's happening. I say, okay, well, I'm staying here with my family, and if you need me, give me a shout. I'm an hour drive away from our staging base, right? So I'm like, I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to be with my family. I'm going to protect my community. If you need me, you call, and 1 hour, I'm there. Mm-hmm. So I stayed at home, and then I had a decision to make. Do I join? Because I could have gone back to my combat unit, to my company, really. I'm in just a different company in the same battalion. It's pretty easy to just go there. Or do I, and so my wife, she's French. She's not from Israel. So not that Israelis are used to this crazy shit of being overrun and bases and communities being taken hostage. And so it's not just me. It's also, everybody, we're sure that, this is the Holocaust happening again right now. Like, we're about to get not taken off to the gas chamber, but like Israel is in Gaza right now. We're fighting. We're trying to kill the terrorists. We're trying to protect our people, and we're trying to minimize civilian casualties. Nobody in the world, doesn't matter how far left you are, or has any doubt what would happen. Well, we saw what would happen if they were in Tel Aviv, and what would happen? They'd rape, kill, behead everybody. So we're thinking this is now coming to us, and we know what the world is going to do. What the world always does, they stand aside. They say, we've had a few wars before, during the Yom Kippur War, during the Six-Day War. When Israel was attacked and losing, then our friends come and say, this is bad, this is terrible. In the best case scenario, maybe they'll send some weapons and military aid. And then when Israel starts winning, and how quick it turned, right? For about 2 weeks, everybody came out and said, this is awful what's happening in Israel. This is groundbreaking. Our heart is with Israel.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. Everybody sent their thoughts and prayers, and a little bit of ammunition, and also aircraft carriers. Yes, yes. But it took about 2 weeks. When Israel started their offensive, everybody said, stop. So it's like when we're getting overrun, everybody says, oh, this is awful. This shouldn't be happening. But when we start winning, everybody says, you have to stop right now. I'm getting a bit long, but so in essence, this is what I need to decide. And it's crazy what's happening in Israel right now, because like I'm talking right now, like on October 7th and the days following. There's no, school is off, right? Nobody goes to work. Like there's war. This is, normal life has stopped, right? And we're sure we might be in an annihilation event right now. Our country, everybody we know, might be killed, overrun. People are buying flights, trying to leave. I had a friend who went to the airport to try to get a flight. No flights out of the airport. Went down to like an airport that just opened. Managed the first flight he could get. He wanted to get to Italy, but he could only get a flight to Greece. So like, this is what's happening kind of in people's mind. And in in the town where I live, we set up. So generally we have a head of security, but he got called up away, and with the population itself, we organized defensive abilities. This is just a town, a community, but we have cameras around, just security cameras, anti-theft and things like that, but around the village, because we have a bit of a problem with car theft and things like that. So we sent a command center where we had people monitoring, like my neighbors. We had shifts, 2-hour shifts, where neighbors, 70-year-olds, young teenagers, everything like that, are sitting on the camera monitoring with a patrol going around. So I'm like, fuck, do I go to the front line? Do I stay with my family? I'm foaming at I want to get in the fight, but I also have a responsibility because I don't know that my family's safe.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Tough. That's really tough. How do you go fight when the enemy could be like, even the first, you can't send your kids to school because you don't know if terrorists are going to show up with guns and shoot up the whole school.
Yeah.
I went on one of these patrol. The patrol, it was just a car that we put a siren on, and people even unarmed were just going around to try to visualize. And I went in, and I'm like, the guy before me just gave me the keys to the patrol car. I'm like, okay, what do we do? And he goes, I don't know. I'm like, okay, who's in charge here? He goes, I think the head of security. I'm like, okay, where is he? He's like, he's not here. He's up north. So who's in charge of the operation? Like, I don't know, we have one of the guy, he's on, like, it's not even the government because it's the town, but he's on something, so they talk to this guy. And I'm like, okay, where's the head of security? He's like, we don't have one. He's like, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I put a quick response team, which is amazing, because in Israel, everybody serves. So we have a WhatsApp group for all the community, and I say, hey guys, I'm looking for volunteers to be in the quick response team. Please send me your details and your military background. And all of a sudden, I'm building this quick response team, and I get my pick. I had 2 former Seret Matkal operators. That's our equivalent of Delta Force, and they are the real deal. I had 2 equivalent of like Rangers. So I've got all these special forces team, everybody from different branches, and we start training together. And it took a couple of days, and we managed to get armed through the police with M4s, because in Israel, it's not like, it's to stop. Most people don't have a license for guns. We certainly can't, as a civilian, carry carbines or things like that. So we're starting to build a military force, and we start getting our hands on like concrete bases, and we set up fortifications and like sandbag positions and things like that in your town. Like, can you imagine fortifying your village to fight off an enemy assaults?
Your homeowners association setting up a QRF.
So that response almost even answers the second half of my question, where so we used to refer to it as ops tempo, right, or operational tempo, where I spend 3 months getting ready. We call it spin up, right? I'm prepping. I'm doing my mission prep. I'm wearing my body armor. I'm working with my crew to get that crew resource management, the communication. We're flowing together, and then I go into combat. And then I'm in combat for 9 months to 10 months. And then a couple of weeks of step down, and then I'm back home with my family, right? And it's this tempo, the up tempo, down tempo, up tempo. Quick little name drop. So I watched the very first Sean Ryan Business Elite podcast. He had on an Apache pilot, and she was speaking specifically about rotary wing assets and things of that nature, where this fallacy of the ops tempo, this same helicopter that I'm flying in combat, just because my flight suit is brown, doesn't mean my risk is any less when I fly in that same helicopter when my flight suit is green when I'm at home.
Okay.
And so that the fact of an ops tempo was a fallacy. It wasn't really a thing. I'm at 100% all the time. It's just now I'm in a different color flight suit and my family's involved, and I go home and I make dinner and these other things. But my risk is the same. My risk has not changed simply because someone maybe isn't shooting at me anymore. A percentage or so has changed. But for the most part, the danger is there. The risk is there. And again, like Ryan was saying, now my HOA is forming, a quick reaction force. And so I think my question is there a separation now, I think, between home and combat, or is this just how we live? Is this just now? And I think that the deeper part of that, where, we come here for training and we talk about civilians, practicing, working their manipulations, their guns and the fundamentals and these things, where it has to be. It's no different, like we talk about in class, that there's rote task of brushing our teeth, where it's the norm, it's the everyday, it's the everything. And you're able to pull 2 equivalent Delta Force operators, 3 equivalent Army Ranger operators. Could you imagine if we had to put together and the assets that we have? We getting any Delta operators?
No.
Are we getting Rangers?
No.
Nuh-uh.
I'll probably get some crackheads.
Maybe some retired.
Right? I might get me like an NRA instructor who's taught like 3 concealed carry classes.
Maybe some New Mexico militia.
Yeah. Some dude who's like really good, like maybe like prestige level 35 on Call of Duty. That's my echelon. That's where I'm at, right? And you're talking like, so I got my pick. I got Delta. I got fucking Army Rangers. Yeah. Who's in charge? I am. Bro, I'm putting Ryan. You're in charge of, I want you to arrange a quick reaction force to defend, right? Where are we at? How far away are you from my house? A half hour? 40 minutes from my house?
35 minutes home.
Boom. You and me, we're putting together a quick reaction force. Go. Who we got?
Got maybe Proctor.
Yeah. So
it's you and me, boy. It's you and me.
Yeah. So my community is 1,400 people, including children, including old people, including everybody.
Okay, so 1,000. How many people are in Albuquerque? Any idea? Don't know. Sorry, I threw you guys on the spot. Yeah,
it's a lot. I mean, we're spread out. Albuquerque's big, right? Where Israel and communities and kibbutzes are very condensed.
Okay,
we have a lot of people that are very spread out.
Yeah.
We have more people, but less dense populated.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's less of a division, right? You got like Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, Los Lunas. That we're all kind of the same geological
on October 7th, some of the communities on the border that got spared. So where I live is in the center of Israel. We don't really have, like, in normal days, didn't really understand, couldn't see a need for a quick response. It's something that they do have.
Being that deep into the country.
Being in the middle of Israel, but on the border of Gaza, in the West Bank, in the territories, they have these things.
Okay.
And these are the same thing. These are civilians who, most of them, served before or actively serving. Like me, I mean, like reserves.
Yeah.
Like they don't. I'm not quite sure what active reserves like For me, active is your deployment or like your uniform training or your...
It's so different. Just the simple term, just to put it in perspective, if I just picked up my phone and went through my contact list and I sent a group text message to literally everyone in my contact list. Hey, what's a quick reaction force? I might get 3 people, 4 people out of the 150 people on my contact list who could even tell me what a quick reaction force is, let alone have the skill sets at a base level to operate within those confines or to even be effective defending themselves or their neighbors.
So in many places on the Gaza border on the 7th of October, the communities that were spared bloodshed and atrocities, it was the quick response forces that were able to fight. Look, the cowards, the Hamas, every place that they met resistance, they stopped. And they fled, or they went looking for an easier target.
Water, right? Flow to the path of least resistance.
Yeah, the bases that were overrun, we're talking about 30 soldiers fighting a few hundred, right? Those were the bases where the soldiers got killed, massacred, overrun. But like every place, I have friends who are in the gunfights over there and stuff, and there'd be you call it mecha, technicals. I don't know from the technical, the jeeps with the moment
Dishkas and 12-7s
they kind of stopped and looked and got out of the vehicles and kind of ran away. Like the moment they met real resistance, they ran away. So these civilians in these communities were able to save a lot of. Not the army, not the police. It took the army a lot of time to get there. There's a lot of also criticism for the army for a lot of time because, in one kibbutz, again, some went in like they fought. People fought like lions over there. Civilians that managed to get weapons off terrorists. In the Nova Party, there was a situation. There were 2 brothers. One, everybody certainly know, but they weren't like top tier operators. One was like served a little bit in the armor corps or something like that. Not very proficient, but he kind of knew. And there was a tank that they saw that already was taken out, got hit by an anti-tank missile. The crew was dead inside and stuff. But people gravitate towards those places. So when the terrorists were going around shooting people at the Nova Party and stuff, some of the civilians kind of gravitated to the tank, and then there was a battle that went down to the tank. But these are civilians that are at the rave. They don't have weapons. And, there was like a police officer with a Glock, right? And one of the brothers went in and managed to get an M16 off a body of one of the tank operators and pull it back. I said this because I remember this story, like, you have there's so many of them, these stories of, so that he's shooting with this M16 and it keeps on jamming, right? And it's not working because, these are tank operators, right? They use the missile, they're not, I'm a bit with infantry.
A little biased, it's fine.
A little bit biased because I'm infantry. But, so he found, he asked one of the girls for lip gloss, because all the girls have, and he used the lip gloss to lubricate the slide, and then the weapon worked fine.
So
these you put that in the ghost ring.
I'm putting that in my pocket.
So these quick response forces and these civilians, and a lot of the time even the army with the training, they waited at the entrance of the village. Not a lot of times, but there was one instance, a lot of criticism, where a unit comes in and there's no like high officer or something like that, and they're just amassing forces in the entrance of the village of the kibbutz. And people are getting massacred inside. And the quick response force is going, come fucking in. And like, no, we're waiting for the commander. And it's like from bad command. This is one, there are many stories of bravery.
Yeah.
Like the SEAL teams were there, Seret Matkal, everybody went in their fight. People, like girls that were, we have female in the tank corps and things like that. There are girls who had tanks on the Gaza border. They heard what everybody just went through. These girls, there's some, I don't know if it's in English, but in Israel, they ran over like 50 terrorists. These girls in this tank.
I watched the video.
They shot the shells until they ran out of the shells.
With that,
and they just
group.
ran over terrorists left, right, and center. So there's a lot of these brave stories and stuff. But yeah, there's also these stories of units or soldiers that went in. Even there was one special forces unit that went in, was taking casualties, and like, okay, we're going to regroup. we've got too much casualties. And the guys are saying, what do you mean regroup? They're civilians and they're getting shot. People are being beheaded. Like, of course you're taking casualties. Hey, look at the dead bodies. Everybody's here dead. There's no such thing as going back in the fight. So it's so different from how you're trying to... Like, if you're a unit and now you've taken 20% casualties, you should probably retreat and go back. But here there's no retreat. This isn't normal combat. This is a massacre.
Well, can I ask a quick follow-up?
Yeah.
So you're very well traveled, right? You're not just local to Israel and Australia. You've been to the U.S., been around. And what would you tell the average American citizen? Based on, so your experience here, you've been twice here. And again, we're a very small subsection and cross-section of society, right? They used to tell us in the military, like, oh, the less than 1% of the U.S. population enlists in the military, but we're a cross-section. We're a cross-section of society. We're maybe less of a cross-section here at Ghost Ring. I mean, I would like to think that we get a good group, a good mix of people here. But because it is a 90-minute commute from your house to the war zone, because it is in your backyard, because you did have to make that decision, do I go to my unit or do I keep my family safe? What would you tell the average American citizen to do, to be ready for? How, again, all of your citizens are soldiers in one form or another, whether it was I served in the tank corps or whether it was I was a computer guy. But I was still had fundamental basic rifle skills. I had basic medical skills. I had the basics. What would you tell the average American citizen who's maybe in their Barca lounger watching Fox News or CNN, whatever your preference happens to be, but you're just letting it wash over and it's too much. It's too much to process. It's too much to think about. It's political, it's agenda, it's whatever. From someone who's there, who's currently dealing with this, what would you tell the average American citizen to do? Wake up, go do this, go do that, don't do this, don't do that. What would your singular piece of advice be in this sense?
I'll answer that, but I'll also piggyback off something that you said. There was a story, it was a sad story, but a meaningful one. Everybody serves in the military, but again, the level of the training of where they were. There's a story about a wife. She heard terrorists outside, and her husband, he was I don't know if he was quick response or army, and he had his M16 at home. And he's in the field. This is happening 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and he's with the cow. So he's a farmer, and he's with the cows in the field and whatnot when this is happening. And she calls him on his phone, and she says, "I hear terrorists outside." And he says, "Okay, grab my gun," because he's far away. And she tells him, "Remind me how to use the M16." And he briefed her through how to put the magazine in, how to load her, because she's done. She maybe shot 5 rounds and stuff, but she had at least some capabilities, and she killed 2 terrorists in the entrance to the bomb shelter. She was found dead, and then she was killed, but she saved her kids.
I think I remember that story.
And like, there's just so, look, it was, 1,000, I think 300 people were murdered, like thousands of people were injured. I'm not just saying in that, so many stories of tragedy, of bravery, there's just so much over there. And we're still at war. So even all this information, we haven't even started to make the after documentaries. Like, this war is only getting started. And that maybe gets me to answer your question. What would I say? I would say, understand that the nature of warfare has changed. We haven't fought for centuries wars like we did in World War II, and we didn't fight in World War II like we fought in World War I. And just like you said, the proxy war, the nature of war has changed. And you've got all sorts of people coming in, most people are just fine, I'm sure, coming in from the Mexico. But if you guys have an open border that just anybody can come in, Chinese are coming in, like,
you said Iranians were...
Yeah, literally
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. Iranians are coming in. The nature of war has changed. And you can't be complacent. It might come to your home as well. Like I said, I think World War III, if you really look at it with the proxies, it's, the world spells weakness and it attacks. And the West is weak right now.
Yes,
I think it's interesting that you say, and to the key of that is that the warfare has changed. The way we fight war has changed. So to think of World War III as we think of World War II, right, where it's like, the entire world. Right, the Axis and the Allies, right? I play Risk as a child, and
there's just a line here and a line here,
and because it has changed, and I think people maybe don't recognize that change, where it's like, well, it's not World War III yet. Like, the fuck you mean?
Yeah,
it's because it's changed so much that our perspective, and an analogy I use is,
we don't know what World War III
we have no idea what it will even. We can't even conceptualize because it has changed so much.
I think it was Einstein who said, "I don't know how." With what weapons we'll fight World War III, but World War IV will be fought with stones.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a good segue into my question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, as technology changes, warfare changes, right? Things are evolving, right? In World War I, we couldn't even fathom the idea of an atomic weapon, right? But we made one. It's real. It happened. And now with AI, with social media, with all of these things that are just in everybody's pocket, right? We've got little intelligence officers in our pocket 24/7 collecting collecting information, right? Social media, it's nothing but collecting data. Everything we look at, our feeds, most people don't even look at the news anymore, right?
Delete my browser history if I die.
Right. So, like most people, especially my generation, right? Millennials, Gen Zs, right? Mainstream media has already been, I can't trust anything on mainstream media. It's CNN, it's Fox News, it's whatever. But, what we get from our phones, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of these things, that's mostly what the new generations, particularly in America or Western society, are consuming. Right. And the algorithms work to feed us more and more what, kind of triggers us or, whatever gets more screen time. Right. It triggers an emotional response. So my question to you is, do you think that where we're at today and kind of the way World War III is being fought with, we talked about indoctrination and radicalization of, the youth and how it starts super, super young. Right, it's easy to say like, the Hamas and the Hezbollah and these kids are just bred with this hate. What do you think? Like what we're seeing here in America right now with this, extreme, elevation of pro-Palestinian, belief and support, which was never on most Americans' radar to begin with, right?
Whatever's popular.
Hot ticket. To where now, do you think that is actually like a form of intelligence operation or psyops from this, larger octopus, right? Whoever's pulling these strings are utilizing this technology that's in our pockets to start this indoctrination or radicalization of not just, people coming in from across the border, but of our youth, and putting us more and more at risk of what you're seeing at, not necessarily at home, right? It didn't necessarily spark from within, but these civilians that are rushing in and doing these atrocities, what's necessarily like, do you believe that what's happening here with these, kind of weird.
Well, we just said that female active shooter in the mega church, with the pro-Palestinian written on her rifle.
Like where did that come from?
Where'd that come from?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that this is all just one big intelligence operation that's happening from somewhere way above?
So the short answer is yes, but to go in more detail, look, a few things. One, all of the terrorists on October 7th, they broadcasted it. Where did they broadcast? All over TikTok.
Why?
Right?
For what reason?
Was TikTok like the main source?
Telegram also, which is Russian, but TikTok. TikTok. Why? Because that's where they're on. They're on TikTok. That's what.
Interesting.
That's what they use.
What have we seen? The Buffalo at the mall, right? Broadcasting on his Twitch live streaming, right? Yeah. And we see that more and more. The live stream of the active shooter, all these things.
So it's part of the game. Another thing I'll say is you have to look at patterns. What do these people have in? So there is one thing in all of the pro-Palestinian marches, whether in America, where they're tearing down American flags and burning them. In France, they're burning the French flags, right? So everywhere they go, like all these, it's not just, I keep on saying our enemies are the same enemies. They don't just hate Israel, they hate America as well. If you contrast that, you look at every single pro-Israel demonstration, whether it's in America, where they're all with, it's simple. In America, if you fly the Israeli, it's known with the Jewish, if you fly the Israeli flag, it's alongside the American flag. You don't fly the Israeli flag on its own, because you're an American, and you're just as proud as both. The Jews here and the pro-Israeli crowd, they had the massive, rally in front of the White House where they were singing the Pledge of Allegiance and they were waving the flags in France. So in Australia as well. So again, you see kind of the narratives. We're in tribalism, but the people who hate Israel, and that's where it kind of connects the intersectionality or whatnot. The shooter, who was transgender with the pro-Palestine, it's all kind of the same. I'm sure you wouldn't see her flying an American flag. On the opposite, she'd probably be burning it. So that's one part of the equation. I can give you another part. I'm shadow banned on Instagram, on Facebook, big time. I'll also tell you why I'm like what I did on Facebook, which is an interesting one. And also all of my friends. Anybody posts positive things about Israel is shadow banned, we're throttled. Really? You can see, I could see my reach from the moment the war broke out. It took about, at the beginning, I was so busy, I didn't post anything.
Yeah,
right.
No,
I was too busy.
I remember seeing. I remember
too,
seeing your post coming in. Then all of a sudden,
gone.
They're gone. Yeah. I didn't even think about that too.
Yeah. So the moment they see you posting positive things about Israel, you're shadow banned. And we're not talking about TikTok is a million times worse.
Yeah.
In TikTok, you're banned, you're closed. Anything pro-Israel is completely gone, destroyed. In America, at the beginning, they'd get me stuff. Like, I'd have a picture of me in the army, which they get that. If you have a gun on you, so I know. I can't post any picture with me with a rifle. Doesn't matter, I'm in uniform, on duty. If I post a rifle, it gets taken down for violating community standards. But I'm throttled.
You post those all the time.
Yeah. So I can't.
That's all of our posts.
Yeah. My reach went down by 50% overnight. Like, you can't miss it. On Facebook, I've been earmarked for a while. My naughty thing on Facebook was
naughty thing.
Yeah, I posted a CNN video. I posted a video from CNN. Okay, this video was during 9/11. It was broadcast. CNN was broadcasting the Palestinians celebrating 9/11. So when 9/11 went down, they went out to the street.
I watched that video of
they
yours on
celebrated
TikTok.
what they do, the tradition in the culture. When it's a happy, joyous, they give out candy. They go out in the street and they give, it's cookies. It's not actually candies, but they give lollies and cookies out to everybody. So, again, what am I doing? I'm sharing news. This is factual. It happened. It's broadcast by CNN. I shared this video. First of all, my account got suspended. It got taken down by sharing false information.
That's what their claim was, false
information and hate. I appealed it. I say, this is a CNN video. It's not false. Like, this is video. This is the actual news footage. I'm sharing news footage of something that actually happened. Eventually, it got overturned. But ever since then, I have 200,000 followers on Facebook. If I share a video, generally maybe 15 people will see it. Sometimes
they're showing like 15 views.
And this, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe I saw this on the Instagram. I follow you on Instagram more than I'm spend more time on Instagram. But it was the compare and contrast between the 9/11 reaction and then when they were driving the young woman's body from the festival in the back of the pickup truck.
Yeah,
and
they were celebrating that too.
No difference. Yeah. And I haven't since then. I had the same thing.
I know.
Like,
I have
just gone away.
I used to see your stuff, and I just thought about that.
And not that I spend
and
vast amount of time on
I use Facebook. I use Instagram as a tool, like for business.
Sure.
Like, my business relies on being able to show my courses in the training camp, and now I have to make an active decision. Do I share what I'm passionate about, exactly what we're doing here. By the way, if you get shadow banned, if you,
I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm curious to see.
I know your game. I know you're not afraid of anybody. But like, so now as a business owner, you do what you do in communist Russia. You have to self-censor, because I actively know that by sharing the truth, by sharing what my experience and what I know, what's happening in my own country, I know that I will suffer economically for doing that. Not to mention, and I know that you guys said also last time when I came here, and you said that the Israelis coming here, some people said, you know what? If you have Jews coming to teach you, and you said, that's fine with me. If you,
We got a lot of hate emails when I said he was going to come out to train for Krav Maga. I was
you didn't share
surprised.
that with me. Were you trying to cushion me? Okay.
Not at all.
I don't feel like you shared that with me.
I've made the decision. I've made the decision that first of all, I am myself. I'm not going to censor myself. I'm going to put myself out there, and even before Instagram, Facebook. And if it's not too much, and if you say that's okay, you probably shouldn't be training with me, because. And then on Instagram, like I know even for people who think like me or want to train with you or don't care about you don't need to be pro-Israel and I
just want to learn
I think the most normal reaction.
I just want to learn how to punch someone in the face.
So many people I think the most normal reaction. Somebody asked me what do Jews want? Yeah. What do Jews want?
Oh, Jesus.
Just leave us alone in peace. We don't want more land. We don't want to conquer anybody.
We don't want anything different than anyone else wants.
We don't want to convert anybody. Just let us be. And the same thing, I think the most normal reaction to, I think, what's happening isn't awful. What's happening in the Middle East, it's not like, there's fucking Zionists or there's fucking, it's like, you know what? I have no idea about what's going on here. Like, if you ask me, what I think about what's happening with Taiwan and China, I don't really know. I have a little bit of income, but I'm not an authority here.
Yeah.
So what do I know about? I've got my own trouble.
It's fun
more than most,
because we say this a lot here. I'm like, it would be so much better. If just don't be a turd. Just be a good person. How hard is it just to be a good human being? Apparently, it's really fucking hard. Yeah. It's really, really hard. But we Jewish, Muslim, whatever. We all want the same fucking things. We want health for our families. We want to be happy. Let me be successful.
I don't agree.
Let me do all those things.
I don't agree.
But I think the way that each one of those groups achieves those things might be different. What is happiness? No. It's very subjective. What does happiness look like for us?
So you're saying Muslims want the same thing as we do?
Wait.
That's what you just said.
Yeah. Some. I don't think you can categorize people. You can say all Jews are like this, or all Christian, or all Muslim. But I think it's a mistake to say all people want the same thing. I had a little bit of a religious upbringing, and I can understand what a powerful thing that can be in your life and other things. Some people, doesn't matter. Don't care about comfort, don't care about happiness, don't care about money, don't care about a good upbringing for the kids. All they care about is what God commands them, and I can understand that. And for somebody who's secular, you can't imagine. Can you imagine killing somebody over religion?
As a good thing, yeah.
Because
as a justified.
As a big bread.
No, you're right. You're right.
You believe in killing someone because they don't believe in Christ? You can't even fathom that. But there are millions of people in the world. I'm not saying Muslims. I'm saying all kinds. And you can't imagine that, but maybe not your great ancestors, but during the Crusades, you can bet your ass that they killed anybody who was Christian or anybody who wasn't, I don't know, but the Protestants killed the Catholics and people. So we're so far removed by that. But we're insulated. You guys are insulated here in America, where you can't imagine people killing over religion.
Fair enough, which is maybe where that opinion comes from. We all want the same things. We all want happiness and things. Because I am sheltered. Because I do have the privilege of.
When you said that,
being
and
here.
I was like,
I know. And now immediately as you say, I'm like, that was dumb. Can we fix that in post production, please? Can we just take that out? How nice would that? Let's say it this way. How nice would it be if we just all wanted the same things? How good would it be if we just all wanted to be happy and our children to be successful and leave me alone?
That's what
I think this circles back perfectly to your question. You asked me what people should take away. you should understand that not everybody thinks like you. And just because you want some things in life, it's called ethnocentric, right? You think that everybody's
absolutely.
like you, that everybody has the same values, because that's everybody you come in contact with. But if you travel the world, you've been to Afghanistan.
I have.
And you know that not everybody has the same values, not everybody has the same motivations, not everybody wants the same thing.
That was a quick turnaround. See how that shit happened?
You don't usually do that.
You're welcome.
Sir.
You're welcome, YouTube. No, I know it's great, and I love the fact that we're having this discourse and these things, and I think that's a rarity, right? So much, especially in this country, people are just and they're so hardline. If you disagree with me, you're a bigot, you're a racist. F you.
Yep.
No, we can't have an open-minded conversation. Sure, maybe I'm biased because I'm also Jewish, right? Maybe I'm unbiased because my family also died in the Holocaust. But I say this a lot in our classes, where my perception is my reality. Mm-hmm. You don't get to question my reality, right or wrong. Who's to say, right? Sure, there's objective and subjective, but all those things influence me. My experiences, my trips to Afghanistan, my family, my upbringing, how I was raised, vastly different. However, this conversation is kind of a tangent, but Ryan was talking to a student in the kitchen about, we used to literally open the oven door to stay warm. We would turn the oven on to stay warm. I'm like, I never had to do that. I couldn't even imagine, couldn't even fathom. But that's an experience. That's an experience that someone has. That's his reality. That's his perspective. That changes how he approaches things and how he looks at things. And that was a quick 180 on my comment. But that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stand there and die on that. No, everyone has the same values.
Everybody wants to be happy like me.
Apparently. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Micah, one thing that will resonate with you, and again, to do a quick shift, is maybe besides my family's safety and security, one of the first things that went through my mind after October 7th, after the massacre, the rape, the Nazi massacre that happened over there, was so my grandmother, she survived the Holocaust. She was in Auschwitz. Her family were killed. She's got the number. She had the number on her hand, and I was so close. Out of all my, I was so close with her. She was she was she almost raised me spiritually. I was close to her, and she passed away a year ago. And when October 7th happened, I was happy she wasn't alive anymore to see that. It was so hard. But what drove me to train Krav Maga and to join the army was I knew what my family went through, and it was so never again. So nothing like this would happen again, and it happened again. And first of all, I was happy that she wasn't there to see it, and second of all, I was broken because one of the reasons, and it's not but one of the promises of the state of Israel, its reason for being, one of them. But again, this is our ancestral homeland. There were Jews there before the Holocaust. It's a misconception that state of Israel was set up, as something to save the Jews after the Holocaust. No, it was set up before. This is separate. But one of the promises, one of the reasons that Israel exists, is that the Holocaust never happens again. That we have somewhere safe, that will never be massacred, and we failed. There's no other way to put it. We failed. And that broke me. That broke me. And there is something very therapeutic. I eventually did go back to my unit and deployed with them. And I don't think I was whole. I was broken inside. I was, when I was in the quick response team, when I was active, when I had stuff to do, I was sleeping maybe 2 hours, 3 hours at night. All the time I was going to calls, doing stuff from administration to stuff. I was finishing every day dehydrated. Forget about food. I dropped, I don't know how many kilos. I know that you guys measure in some
2.2 pounds. Yes.
I dropped about 5 kilos within a week or two.
About 15 pounds.
Yeah. Because I was finishing every day dehydrated. I had my Camelback and 2 bottles in the car, and I just didn't even have the time to drink water. because I was going. So that was actually good for me. And then after about a month, things started to, kind of calm down to the civilian front, and I couldn't function. I had difficulty getting out of
You were
bed.
using that as a, basically you're saying you're using that
I had stuff to do. I had a mission.
As a distraction.
I had stuff to do.
No,
I had no time to kind of go.
To
and after
process all
that, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't get myself, like, how could you do work? Like, how is it even meaningful to earn a living for your family when there's a war going on here? And after a while, my wife kind of, like, she's like, go. Like, you need to go. You're breaking down. You're no use to anybody here. And I went and I deployed. I just couldn't. I couldn't, like, I was broken. I was a shell of myself after that. And it wasn't until I went back to my unit, I went back to the combat unit.
You went back to your combat, okay.
Yeah, and deployed with them. And that was, that was that brought me back together.
Okay. Wow.
You feel like you need to do something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you feel defenseless. You're just on social media all day, or on Telegram. You're watching, these many people died. There's rockets from here. The government isn't doing what did any. You just, and it's like, and then when you're in the army, you just, like, even it might not be, you have your gripes about how things are run, but it's like, at least you're a part of something. You're doing something, as opposed to just
you feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah.
Certainly not a parallel by.
Yeah, but it broke me. I have no, like, as a warrior, I was useless as a human being. If I couldn't, like, do something, it's fine. It's like there's no meaning for my life.
Yeah.
By no means a parallel, but I found that here.
Yeah. Yeah. As a Jew, being away and going, my people are getting massacred, and I'm not a part of that. Yeah, it broke, like, and I'm not alone. It broke everybody, and also everybody in my unit. It's like, we're here because can't be. And, they're fine. Like, the guys with five kids at home, and the wife is juggling and ranching, but, we have to be there. But I couldn't imagine. My sister lives in LA, and it's for the Jewish people, having gone through, it's such a traumatic part. It's such a big part of our existence, of making sure nothing happens, and then it happens, and it's like, and I can't do anything about it, and it's, I don't know, I can't put it there. I see Micah going, you can't. It's such a part of who we are, or I think it's like the sum of all nightmares, and happens, and you feel it broke me. It broke me.
Well, let me move into this and try to lighten the mood a little bit. What's the overall morale of everyone there compared to October 7th compared to now? Has the morale changed at all? Has the morale gotten better? Has it gotten worse?
That's supposed to lighten the mood.
We have, I have to say...
Shut your mouth.
I have to say, we all had our doubts about this TikTok generation, right? Okay. Because who's serving in the army? Who's serving in the army? It's these 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, besides ours. So there's a lot of reservists over there, but the heart of the army is the 18-year-olds, the 19-year-olds, the 20-year-olds, the guys doing their full-time service. And, we had our doubts.
We were talking about, should we say names?
Say it. Throw it out there. We're no holds barred in this one.
So we were watching the Grantham YouTube video. I brought it up to him. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about. I go, he just had 2 IDF guys on there, and
go finish it.
I was going to say, and I started watching the video, and one of the guys on there, he just rubbed me the wrong way. He's your younger generation. Yeah. And I'm like, what is this guy just wants to just talk and these stupid jokes he's putting out there? And I'm like, is this guy just here to be on TV? Well, what is he here for?
So I had sent Nick. So again, Grantham, he'd had 2. It was a British soldier and an American spec ops soldier who'd come
in Ukraine
from Ukraine for 2 years.
Yeah,
phenomenal. About an hour and 20 minutes of some of the best information and data and feedback
Just
that I've
how that
had
war's been
since
fought.
leaving the military in 2014, and my last few years was here training, so not really active duty. And then I'm like, oh shit, he did another one with these guys from the IDF. I'm like, this is going to be amazing.
I go, this is great. Let me watch this.
And I said, Nick, I'm watching. Here we go. Watch this. And we're both like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
That's
the younger generation soldier.
Okay, so I can't put the
I know.
the honor of the Israeli army on one soldier.
No, certainly not. And this is no critique or criticism on his capabilities as a soldier, as his skill sets, as any of that.
Yeah. We just saw the younger generation in
So
him.
I will say, I don't know anything. I haven't seen the show. I don't know who this guy they brought on.
I'll send you the link.
I will say, as a whole, they are fighting like lions.
Yeah.
Their bravery is equal. We've never fought a war like this, at this level, at this intensity, against such a cruel and sophisticated and dangerous enemy, and they are kicking ass. And we say we have an army of lions that are led by sheep and donkeys. Because our politicians...
I like that. I like that.
I think that goes across the board.
Our politicians...
Well, maybe not so much here,
So these guys, they're going into tunnels and they're fighting and they're killing. Like everywhere that the IDF is meeting terrorists, they're running, they're surrendering. When every face-to-face, they don't face in face-to-face combat, they run. Because... they lose.
They run, they booby trap.
We go into their tunnels, and that's it. There's little fighting, because the moment we go into there, they surrender. And thousands of Hamas have surrendered, besides the ones that have been killed. And these I can't imagine going into an enemy tunnel and fighting them out. And also with technology and the new doctrines that they're developing, the fighting doctrines and stuff it's amazing. So the fighting that's happened at the soldier level, it's amazing.
So you're happy with the younger generation?
Okay. At the soldier level, they are and I've served. Like a lot of even the reservists, I've got 23-year-old reservists and stuff like that. They are lions. Their values, they're amazing. Better than our generation. Better. Okay. But the generals... most of them are fucking politicians, and they're cowards, and they won't let us fight the war the way we need to fight. They won't let us win. Some of them are proud. One of the generals on record says he's proud that we are so moral that we're willing to sacrifice our soldiers in order to minimize civilian casualties. We know that that's happening, but he went out on the open and he says, yes, I will sacrifice my soldiers to that. It's like, what a fucking coward you are.
It's all optics.
So Ron, you were 18 when you joined the military. Yes. How old were you, Nick, when 18. You enlisted? 18. It's a vastly different experience for myself. I turned 28 in basic training.
Old man.
I had my 28th birthday in basic training.
Yeah.
And so I think the experience, again, there's no fucking way that I could do what any of these guys were doing at 21, 22. I can't even think about the dumb shit that I was doing when I was 22, 23, 24, 18. My brain, my capacity, anything to even be able to manage that.
Me and Nick, we spoke about this when I had you on my podcast, and I think if you and I, we kind of agreed that if we wouldn't have joined the army at 18, we would have probably been in prison.
Lives vastly different,
so
quite the other way around.
It really, really helped us straighten out.
No, it gives me, I guess there's a little bit of sliver of hope. All rebellions are built on hope.
All right, guys, so we're going to wrap it up with this final big question. Micah, go ahead and hit Ron with
Here we go.
with the big one.
So, okay, in an ideal scenario, right, as a Jew, as a member of the military, as a family man, no holds barred, what is the ideal outcome? What is the if you could have it your way, if you just snap your fingers, Team Thanos, Team Avengers, whatever, what is your ideal outcome? How would you solve this problem?
Okay, so I want one thing, and one thing only. I want my family to be safe. I want to live in my country and what I see as my ancestral homeland. And I want my children not to keep on fighting the same wars that I fought and that my parents fought and that my grandparents fought. So how does this get done? Okay, I think there's a few steps and they're easy. They're no-brainers. So first of all, I don't know how many people realize Gaza has a border with Egypt. The blockade, there's no Israeli blockade in Gaza. The big border of Gaza is also with Egypt. Well, Gaza right now is a war zone. There are many people who don't want to be there right now. There are many people who want to fight or they're not going to leave their home. Neither should they be forced to leave. But open the border with Egypt. Whoever wants to get out of this hellhole, let them get out of it. And people say, okay, so where will they go? There are 600,000 people in Gaza, okay? Just recently, 6.7 million refugees left Syria. Most of them left Turkey. Some of them went to Europe. They went all over the place. 600,000 people. If a few of them, whoever wants to leave, let them leave. We can avoid civilian casualties. They can come back when the war is over, when the Hamas is eliminated. So the world wants to minimize civilian casualties. So do we. Let them leave so Hamas doesn't have their human shields and we can go in. And whoever wants to say, well, they know the cost. And now this does something even more important. I don't want to have to go in and fight this battle with Lebanon because there's going to be casualties on our side and there's going to be a lot of casualties over on their side. A lot more. I don't want this war to happen. And it's going to. There's only one way that this doesn't happen. And that's if the Lebanese people see the price that the Palestinians paid for backing terrorism and they go and they uproot Hezbollah themselves. They say, we don't want this here. Get the hell out of Lebanon. We want to live our life in peace. And many people in Lebanon, they do. Different from in Gaza, where the population, they're all Sunni Muslims, support Hamas. Support for Hamas has gone up since October 7th. Not just in Gaza, but in the West Bank. If elections would be held right now, Mohammed Abbas, who is the representative of the PLO, the moderate faction who funds terrorism, they're certainly not moderates, and they carry out terrorist attacks as well, he'd have about a 5% approval rating. Hamas has a 70% approval rating, according to their own polls.
Wow. We can't even do that here.
They love Hamas. But some don't. Let them flee. Let them go away to safety. Let them come back once we've destroyed Hamas. The people in Lebanon, if they don't want the same thing to happen to them, they should stop shooting rockets at us, because we will have to at some point go in. They should dismantle this Nukhba force, which is much more nasty than the Hamas special forces death squads, the Hezbollah death squads. There are more of them, and they're more powerful, and this war is going to be much bloodier. This war doesn't have to happen. The only people who can stop it are the Lebanese, who are many Christians over there, and many Sunnim over there who don't support Hezbollah. So how do I see this getting solved? If we keep on working on half measures, well, what was the quote? You didn't want you had to choose between war and dishonor, so you chose dishonor and you got war as well. Right? So same thing. If we choose to fight in half measures, we're going to get the full deal. We need to stop fighting in half measures. We need to go and destroy our enemies. So here in the Middle East, everybody needs to understand the cost to be paid for war. And then you make peace from strength. And that's how this thing ends. By defeating our enemies. There's no other way. And unless we not defeating, let's not mince word, by eliminating our enemies. And our enemies are not the Palestinian people. They're Hamas. Because we're capable of destroying Hezbollah, but it'll come at a cost. And the people who pay the biggest cost, we paid a very big cost. We had thousands of civilians killed in Israel. But the Palestinians are paying a very dear cost too.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. It's like, how do we wrap that one
deep
up?
breath.
Yeah. So it's been a deep one. It's been a deep one, guys.
Ron, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
So
for
much
being
for
here.
coming on.
Thank you for your candidness.
Yeah.
I apologize to the audience, but yeah, I mean,
I have to say, I feel at home, not just in Ghost Ring. I feel at home in America. It's always I'm not an American citizen, but again, it's the same value. I did spend quite a few years of my life growing up here, but again, the bond, the brotherhood between Israel and America, it's deep. And I knew that if my country would, like, we thought that we'd get annihilated. Like, that was really the mindset. This is a war. This could be the end of it. I knew I'd fight to the death.
Yeah.
But I knew I'd send my family here to America.
Yeah. I think, and I just want to throw this last little piece out there, but agree, disagree, whatever your opinions are.
Yes.
This is what's important. The discussion, the discourse. This is your experience. This is what you've been dealing with. This is what you've been living with. There's a reason you have the opinions that you have. Right or wrong, whatever, agree or disagree. That's how you feel. Clearly passionate, involved, likewise, the same. And if we could just sit down and have a goddamn conversation half the time, it would solve. I think we'd be way better off. Way better off. And again, that's just my opinion. So what does that mean? Nothing. But anyway, I'll be quiet there. Thank you. Signing off.
All right, guys. Again, hopefully this information has enlightened you. Hopefully this information we've shared with you is helpful. All right. So Ron, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
coming
having
on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
All right, guys. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the American Gunfighter Podcast. Be sure to listen next week. And please don't forget to leave us a review. Also, if there's a topic you'd like us to look into, please be sure to leave a comment.